My name is Kate Gibbons, and I'm the Patient Education Program Manager here at Zero. Thank you so much for joining us today for Zero's special Giving Tuesday coverage on Facebook. Today, we're raising money for our Zero COVID Support Fund. One of the programs that we want to highlight for you today is our Caregiver Connector program. So this program is a peer-to-peer support program for those currently caring for a man with prostate cancer or those who have lost a loved one to this disease. In a few minutes, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the program and even introduce you to a Caregiver Connector caregiver mentor. But first, I wanted to give a few tips for caregivers who may be watching right now, who might be having a tough time during the COVID-19 crisis. So the first tip that we want to share is to create a plan. So what are your next steps if you or your loved one starts developing symptoms of COVID-19? Who will take on different responsibilities in the caregiver role, and how can you safely quarantine? So stay in contact with your medical team, your loved one's medical team. They're a great resource for you to answer any questions, talk through any concerns, and also help you to develop that plan. Also, remember to take care of your body and your mind too. So you can use the internet to find a reliable exercise, yoga, meditation, or breathing video to watch. Whether it's 2 minutes, it might be 10 minutes, it might be 30 minutes. It gives your body and brain time to relax and take a break. And our last tip is to keep connecting. So keep connecting with your family members, keep connecting with your friends. You can do this through the phone or through video chat. Connect with your loved one. Maybe you play a new game that you've never played before, or you do a new activity together. Also connect with yourself. So if you like journaling, if you like playing or listening to music, or doing different activities that you might do alone, incorporate those into your daily activity. Also, connect with other caregivers through support programs. And Zero's Caregiver Connector program is a perfect program to do that with. So now let's talk a little bit more about our Caregiver Connector program. Our Caregiver Connector program is Zero's newest support program. So as I mentioned, this is a one-on-one support program for caregivers who are currently caring for a man with prostate cancer or who have lost their loved one to this disease. This program is particularly important during the COVID-19 outbreak because it allows caregivers to find support and connection without leaving their homes. So our program matches those looking for support with a trained caregiver mentor who's had a similar experience. So we're really able to personalize matches based on what type of support the person is looking for, what experience they've had, and what they're wanting to talk with their caregiver mentor about. So our caregiver mentors have cared for family members, they've cared for friends, they've cared for their neighbors, and they're ready to provide their insight, they're ready to share their experience, and also provide a listening ear for support. So if you or someone you know is interested in talking with a caregiver mentor, please visit our website at zerocancer.org/caregiver to be matched. So it's now my pleasure to introduce you to one of our Caregiver Connector mentors. Her name is Athena, and Zero's social media manager, Scott Meeks, recently chatted with her via Zoom. Check out her story, and please don't forget to donate.
First, thank you so much for joining us today. You have such a powerful prostate cancer journey story, and we'll get to that in just a second. But first, you are just outside of New York City. You are kind of in the hot spot of this country for COVID-19. How are you doing, and how is your family doing?
So I'm holed up in my apartment. I can't complain. A lot has happened, and it's definitely been a journey. I was put on 4-long furlough, and that was a little emotional, but once I realized that I have the support that I needed and we were going to be okay, it made it a little bit easier. So I've been home cleaning and sewing and what else? I've been fixing things. So it's been quite a personal journey this time around, but I think the most important thing is the safety of everybody I love is important. So my mom and my sister are down the shore and they're kind of quarantined to the shore house. My sister's in Hoboken. She quarantined herself to her apartment. And then my boyfriend and I are in Astoria, and we've quarantined ourselves to our apartment. So it's a lot of washing our hands. Every time we leave the apartment, when we come back, we take our clothes off and we wash them. It's making sure that we all stay safe because it's a little scary, all the uncertainty.
why don't you kind of tell me how the word prostate cancer even entered your life?
I'm sure everyone's story is a little similar. It was a whirlwind. My dad went to the hospital because he wasn't feeling well. And at the end of the month, we found out he had prostate cancer, stage 4. So none of us really knew what that meant. None of us really knew what to do. But my dad was a fighter. He always put his family first. He worked hard so that my sisters and I would be able to travel and go to college and really live our lives to the best of our ability. So when my dad was diagnosed, he was headstrong. I was like, okay, what are we doing? How do we stop this? How do we get a couple more years out of me? And so it was a process, ups and downs. He went through chemo, he went through radiation, he had a lot of surgeries, but he always stayed positive. And that was really important to my mom because as her caretaker, her world kind of changed. She was working full time. She had to take care of my dad. I was a senior in college, so I came home 3 days a week, every week, to just be with my parents and help them. So there was a lot on my plate for sure. Between I worked in the admissions office, I worked in a bridal shop, I had an internship, I was taking full-time classes, and then I came home every week to make sure my parents were okay. So it was hard. I don't think it's ever easy for anyone. Definitely emotional.
Sure.
But when my dad passed away, we were like, how are we going to remember him every year? Because the biggest priority to my dad was helping everyone. At his funeral, we had so many people show up that I've never met before who had all these wonderful stories and everyone offering their help and support. I said, how do we channel this to help everybody else going through this? And that's kind of when I thought, well, we did this prostate cancer walk 2017. Why don't we try to do it again? And that's when I got in connection with Renee and Betsy and really helping them and the whole company to help other people so that they have all these resources that we had. And to kind of make Zero a household name is my goal, because no one wants to do this alone and no one has to do this alone.
Zero is so proud to announce that we've got a caregiver mentor program now, and you are one of our caregiver mentors. Tell me a little bit about what it was about your journey that attracted you to think, you know what, I would like to be a mentor for Zero.
I think it's a little bit of twofold. One, I wish that Zero was something I knew about when my dad was sick. Knowing about the walk and doing the walk was great, but I didn't understand all the resources you guys provide and all the help that you give until afterwards recently. So I felt like it's my job to kind of spread the word to other people, because no one has to do this alone. So the mentor program is an opportunity for me to say to people, okay, this stinks. It's not fun, but you're not alone. And it's okay that you're scared or upset, and I'm here to listen. I think that's the most important thing that I can do through this program, is just listen to everybody, because everyone's story is different and everyone needs someone that they can just be a soundboard and talk to and make them feel safe and okay with everything.
I think your words, "you're not alone," mean so much to so many people with prostate cancer, or just in general with what's going on in the world right now. The word caregiver can have so many meanings, and I think some people might think it immediately means someone who is helping to feed someone, or more of like a nurse situation, which it definitely means that part, and it is an unbelievably important aspect of the word caregiver, but it also can mean emotional. And so tell me a little bit about how you feel like you were a caregiver to your dad when he was going through his prostate cancer journey.
So I too thought that caregiver was my mom, right? She went to the doctor's appointment. She was in charge of his medicine. She really was the forefront, if you will, of this in my family. And when Zero originally reached out, I said, oh no, I'm not a caregiver. I said, I wasn't involved in that. And my eyes were kind of open, because the response was, no, but you were there. You were emotionally supporting your parents. You made sure that they had what they needed, and you have an opportunity to help other people. And I said, wow, when you put it like that, I guess I was, it's important to have someone who can go to the doctor's appointments and take care of the medicine, but it's also important for me and my dad to sit on the couch and watch television or cook barbecue. We did chili on football Fridays and, Thursdays and Sundays and Mondays. So those moments were time where my dad and I could escape all the fear and the uncertainty and kind of be in our routine. We're Giants fans, so we watched the Giants lose a couple of years in a row. But I think the other piece of it is someone once told me that your routine doesn't have to change just because of the news. And I didn't understand that at first, but keeping the routine of the things my dad and I usually did, whether it was watching TV or watching football or cooking, I think that made a world of difference to all of us, because we didn't let the prostate cancer define our family. It was so important to my dad that my sisters still studied abroad and I finished up college and got my degree. And for us to continue living, my dad made a point to help me move out. He was like, I want to be there for you when you move out, and we're going to do this because I need to. And I said, okay. I said, if this is something you need to do, let's do it. And he moved my sister and I into our first apartment. So having those memories and those moments, to your point, I didn't realize until now, it was emotionally supporting him and showing him that we were going to be okay.
Yeah, that emotional support is so important. And I think from a daughter's perspective, which is obviously your perspective, you're going to have so much insight into other mentees that are daughters of prostate cancer patients and survivors. Can you tell me just a little bit about what that's like to be the daughter of a prostate cancer patient?
So having my dad have prostate cancer was scary, very emotional. I went through a roller coaster for the 2.5 years that he was going through everything. I think I learned that I have to let myself think the sad things, So it sucks that, I moved into this new apartment and my dad's not here. It sucks that I'm moving on with my life and, he won't be there when I have a kid or when I get married. And it stinks. Definitely makes me sad. But I want to stay positive through it all. And so I thought, wow, he got to see me study abroad. And wow, he got to see me graduate. And he was able to help me move me into my first apartment and coach me through my first job. And I came to this realization that there's a lot of stuff that he's going to miss, in his human form on earth. But he was in my life in the most important moments because he raised me to be the person I am. And so he may not see how I end up, but he had a huge part in who I became. So while there's a lot of sad stuff and a lot of missed opportunities and missed moments, I have to look on the bright side and just remember that I'm the person he wanted me to be. And that's the most important thing to me.
I think he'd be unbelievably proud. And, our Zero Caregiver program, the first thing you said a second ago was it's scary. And I can imagine in the next few months as we roll out this program, you're going to be getting a lot of mentees that's the first thing out of their mouth. They're scared because of the unknown of prostate cancer. But then to compound that with what's going on with COVID-19, how can you give me a little bit of guidance as to what you plan to talk to those mentees about?
I am so excited for the mentor program because I am able to give people the advice that maybe I wanted. I'm going to be able to listen, but I think the most important thing that the first conversation will hold for us is always going to be, it's okay to be scared. It's okay to be upset. It's okay that this really stinks and it's going to change your life a little bit. But you have to be in the moment and experience those moments because you don't want to look back and say, wow, I wish I did this or I wish I did that. When my parents finally told us how bad it actually got, I wrote my dad a letter of everything I needed him to know. It was 5 pages long. It was crazy, but I needed to express to him everything, how grateful I am, all the happy times we had together, how I learned from all the sad times. And it was just because I didn't want to look back and regret not saying anything. So I think that's going to be another big part of the conversation, who I am as a mentor, is what do you have to do to look back on this and be okay with everything?
Right. Well, I think the other interesting perspective that you have is you will be able to provide these mentees with a fuller picture of their journey, because it doesn't end when their loved one is done with treatment or when they pass. You have gone on to change the world in a lot of ways with you putting out information about zero and prostate cancer and educating men. And I think that's going to be so inspiring to some of these mentees.
Thank you. I really hope so. Like I said, I think you guys offer so many programs, and it's going to be our mission, right? That everyone knows that you guys are here with all that support. So I hope I'm able to continue to spread the word and help these mentees through all of it, and be a volunteer for when you need extra hands.
Well, and it's our programs. You're a part of the Zero family. So I feel like when you say those things, it's really us educating men and talking about it and raising awareness and letting men know about this disease. And not only letting the men know, but letting the women in their lives know about this disease, whether it be their wives, girlfriends, mothers, caretakers, whatever. We've got to just make sure that men know about this disease.
No, I agree. And I think that was the most shocking part, is there's all this information for the men who are going through the treatment, but there wasn't a lot for the women who are also going through the treatment in some way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is there anything you'd like to add on being a caretaker or being a mentor?
I'm excited to help other people. I'm looking forward to the opportunity. I'm so grateful for the opportunity. But I think the most important thing is you have to be in the moment, and you can't let the moment slip away.